Bienvenidos and welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, the place where we discuss all things USMNT y la selección mexicana. My name is Adrian. I'm joined once again with my co-host, tocayo, Adrian. Adrian, what's going on, man?
Hey, how's it going, dude? Chilling over here Friday evening, ready to call it a week, I guess. But one more stop to talk about USMNT with you, my friend.
Yes, sir. It's going to be a slow weekend for us after the Liga
hmm
MX concluded and no national games this weekend. So, yeah, man, let's go over some recent developments here. bjcallaghan, the new interim head coach, has dropped his 24 player roster for the Nations League. And we'll also kind of be giving a small preview to the U20 quarterfinal matchup between United States and Uruguay, which will be held this Sunday, June 4th. So yeah, man, let's just get into it. I'm gonna list off the list of the kind of read off the list here of the 24 convocados, the 24 selected players for the Nations League match against Mexico, which will be taking place on June 15th. I'll put it up here on the screen so you guys can follow along as well. We'll start off with goalkeepers. Goalkeeper is Drake Callender, Inter Miami, Josh Cohen, who plays in Israel, Sean Johnson, Toronto, and Matt Turner, Arsenal. We have 7 defenders called up. Sergio Dest, Chris Richards, Crystal Palace, Anthony Robinson, Jedi, Fulham, Miles Robinson, Atlanta United, Joe Scally, Borussia, Mönchengladbach, Austin Trusty, Birmingham City, and Walker Zimmerman, Nashville. We have 6 midfielders being called up. We Johnny Cardoso with Internacional in Brazil, Luca de la Torre with Celta Vigo in España, Weston McKennie with Leeds, technically Juventus, Yunus Musa Valencia, Gio Reyna Borussia Dortmund, and Alan Soñora FC Juárez in Mexico. Bravos. Forwards, there's 7 called up for this match against Mexico. Brendan Aaronson with Leeds, Balogun, Taylor Booth plays in Netherlands, Ricardo Pepi, Christian Pulisic, Tim Weah, and Alex Endejas. So pretty strong team as we talked about before. The USMNT released a 60-man preliminary Gold Cup / Nations League roster. That roster, they pulled these 24 players from that list, and the Gold Cup is expected to pull another 24 players from that list, but completely different players. Antonio Hudson, before he left, mentioned that he predicted, one Euro-based strong team for the Nations League and one MLS BC team for the Gold Cup. So you could definitely tell where the priorities lie this summer, being the Nations League, which is shocking and difficult for them because Mexico has named a roster for both, and it's a
Yeah.
Euro-based roster with their A team heading both tournaments. They're determined to win both tournaments. So it'll be interesting if that changes. Obviously, he can still pull these players for the Gold Cup if bjcallaghan decides to not go that BC team route for Gold Cup and take it seriously. But that's a conversation for another day. So this roster, again, is for the Mexico match for the Nations League on June 15th. Yeah, man, right off the bat, notable inclusions. I know there was one that stood out for you. Who exactly is that?
Alan Soñora. Hold on. I think the first one is Josh Cohen. Who the hell is Josh Cohen? I think this is the first time that I heard of him. While you were going through the list, I was doing some quick research, and it looks like he spent most of his time at the USL level, and then moving into Israel. But have you heard anything of him? Do you know him?
I haven't, man. I've seen him kind of called up on a couple like prelim rosters before, but never seen him play, or I know nothing of him. So it's interesting we'll get into omissions, who was omitted instead of him. But yeah, that's definitely a crazy inclusion. Him and, like you said, Alan Sonora are just, I have no idea where they came from.
Exactly. I mean, I honestly don't understand. I really don't understand how and why, and what's the reasoning behind calling Alan Soñora. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. What I'm saying is this is a player that got into Ciudad Juarez or Bravos de Juarez on match day 6 of Liga MX. So he only had 12 matches to play, right? Out of those 12 matches, he only played 8 of them. And on all of them, he was he came in as a substitution, as a sub. So he only has what, one assist? I don't know, out of all the 8 games that he played, out of the 12 games that he could have been called up or being on the squad for the match, he was only on 9. 3 he was not even considered on the squad. 1 he was just he didn't play. He remained on the bench. So I don't really understand or see why Alan Soñora makes it to this list. Um, I hope or I assume that he has great chemistry with the other players, and that's the only reason why. Or the USMNT values him as a great prospect, and that's the reason why they're calling him up to see if he can, set him up as a, hey man, look at this, we have this player, and put it at another team in Europe, maybe. But it's hard for me to believe that there's no other player within the USMNT sphere that can take Alan Soñora's spot.
Yeah, I don't. We jokingly were discussing before the recording that he must have blackmail on somebody because I have no idea why he keeps getting called up. Um, but yeah, he's there.
Yeah.
I don't expect him to play, but he'll be at least one of the main 24 players there. As we still discuss inclusions here, another notable inclusion for me was Miles Robinson. The
Yeah.
Atlanta United center back. Not that Atlanta United's doing horrible. I think they're middle of the table in the Eastern Conference. But they're doing horribly defensive wise. They're the team that has
Yeah.
received the most amount of goals in MLS all season so far with 28 goals. And him being the main center back on that team, a lot of that has been his fault. So to see him being called up in lieu of other, which will another player that we'll mention on our notable omissions, is kind of interesting. And to end our notable inclusions on a high, it's notable. We all expected it. We all knew it was going to happen. But Balogun is in. Will he start? We don't know. Will he? How much he'll play? We don't know. But I personally expect Pepe to start just because of the chemistry with the squad. And if USA is losing 1-0, 2-0 in the 50th minute or a halftime, they throw in Balogun. Or even if they're winning 1-0 in like the 67th minute, they'll throw him in looking for a winner, right? I don't know if he'll start necessarily, but what do you think?
I have the feeling that he'll start, man. I think they promise him a lot. I seriously think that they want to talk to him like, hey man, you're gonna be the starting striker for the USMNT, and I feel that that's what Balogun the gun was looking for. I feel that he wanted that kind of attention. Really was looking for that protagonism, and I just feel that the USMNT is going to give it to him. Now, is that a good decision? We don't know. We'll see. But if you put all of the strikers that you have into perspective, right? I think he is the one with the best season overall. Even and he's at a more challenging league than the likes of Ricardo Pepi and maybe, I don't know, Taylor Booth. So I just feel that he will start just because of those specific reasons. Where I feel that they promise him to be the star of the team. I think they also promise him to be, you're gonna be starting no matter what. And third, overall, he is the best striker right now.
Yeah, definitely no doubt about that. That he is the best striker in the USMNT's pool. Some notable omissions as we continue kind of analyzing this roster. We talked about for inclusion, Josh Cohen. I think he got in because they snubbed Ethan Horvath. Ethan Horvath, who had a great season with Luton Town, who is now
Hmm.
promoted to the Premier League. He was critical to that promotion, and I
Hmm.
think he definitely deserved to be in this roster. Staying with goalkeepers, even Zach Steffen, man, who had an okay
Yeah.
season with Middlesbrough in the championship, probably should be ahead of Josh Cohen, whoever Josh Cohen is. Um, another big omission for me, who should have taken Miles Robinson's place, was Mark McKenzie, who plays at Genk.
Yeah.
It's interesting because more drama developed with the USMNT. Mark McKenzie reacted on Instagram with like a meme, that meme of that dude who's like a question mark.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he saw the roster and he wasn't on it. He definitely got snubbed. I think he had a great season with Genk. Um, But as far as other snubs here, I think I found a lack of real number nines. Obviously, it's Balogun and Ricardo Pepi
Yeah,
that are number nines, but at forward you have like Pulisic, Sendejas, Weah, Booth, and Brendan Anderson. They're not really number nines. So I expected him to bring in, like a third, like Haji Wright or Josh Sargent or hell, even Jesus Ferreira. One of those players, just to have kind of as a backup to the backup or another real number nine. Um,
yeah.
I don't know. Were there any notable omissions for you other than the ones that I mentioned here?
No, man. I mean, those are the ones that come to my mind really quickly. I mean, the other ones, which we'll discuss in a couple of minutes, but these are the main ones. I really don't. It really bugs with my mind to see the name of Josh Cohen. He's at like a 31 or 32-year-old goalkeeper who's playing in the middle of nowhere. And then you have the likes of Ethan Horvath and Zach Steffen, who you're not even considering them to, for a chance to challenge the head turner, right? So it's interesting. And then the fact that you're not considering someone like Mark McKenzie, who is a champion in Belgium, who had a really good, very strong season, and you get to take Walker Zimmerman. I mean, Zimmerman is not bad, but you have a big pool of players that are competing on more challenging leagues with talent that is way more difficult to defense against. Like, instead of, I guess, playing against freaking Yassi Sardes. Don't get me wrong, Yassi Sardes. I think you're good, and you can definitely beat me on a one-on-one. I'm not shading you. All I'm saying is it's more difficult to play with the top talent from Nigeria, from Poland, from Ecuador in the Belgium league than playing against Yasser Sardes, right? So it's I agree with Mark McKenzie and his meme. I don't get it. And yeah, I also agree with you could have they could have probably just uh, remove one of the wingers or a maybe a midfielder and have a third striker or number nine on that roster. I assume that he feels that, well, as you mentioned, we don't really know if some of these players will join the Gold Cup roster, but I have the feeling that he's only making this call up for the potential of two matches, and that's the reason why he's only taking two strikers.
Yeah, looking into the future for the final. You're right.
Hmm.
Some other notable omissions that were out because of injury. We'll quickly cover Cameron Carter Vickers, who would have been a center back, Tim Ream, who would have
Yeah.
been a starting center back, and Tyler
Hmm.
Adams, who obviously would have been there in the midfield with Yunus Musa and Weston McKinney. So sad to not see them there, but they're out due to injury. So what can you do? Um, as we wrap up this kind of reactions to this roster, man, I wanted to give, as always, our roster formation prediction. But I was looking at this roster and I was looking at the coach. And I was like, what kind of roster is this guy going to play, or what kind of formation is this guy? I know nothing of bjcallaghan. So
Yeah.
I have no idea what the formation is going to be, man. I'm thinking it might be similar to Anthony Hudson, a 4-3-3 or something. But it's all up in the air. I have no idea.
Yeah, if I was BJ Callahan, I would just stick with what we kind of sort of know. What these players have been playing for the last couple of matches. Why change it if it ain't broken, right?
Yeah, I agree with you, especially since he was working under Tonyo Hudson and under Triple G,
Hmm.
so he should be
Yes.
familiar with these formations. Um, I wanted to do a quick little segment here as we wrap up of the just a small preview of the World Cup, the U20 World Cup quarterfinals for the USMNT, the U20 USMNT. That is, they will be taking on June 4th Uruguay U20 squad in the quarterfinals for a place in the semis. Just a quick rundown on how Uruguay has made it this far. Uruguay beat Iraq 4-0 in the first game. Then they lost to England 3-2 in their second group match, and then they, in order to qualify, beat Tunisia 1-0 in the third match of the group. And then to get into the round of 16, they beat Gambia 1-0. On the other side of the coin, there, USA has been outstanding this tournament. Hasn't received a goal yet and has been scoring plenty. They first game was probably their toughest match of the tournament so far. They beat Ecuador 1-0. Then they went on to beat Fiji 3-0, and then they beat Slovakia 2-0 in the third game of the group, and that allowed them to play New Zealand in the round of 16, which they destroyed 4-0. It's the first time I think in American history that a World Cup team hasn't received a goal in 4 games at a tournament, and it might even be the
Wow.
first time that they win 4 games in a row at a World Cup. Granted, it's the U20 World Cup, but I don't think the USA has ever done so well in a youth World Cup. So it'll be interesting to see how far they can make it. My predictions for the match, man: 2-0 USA. Keep it going. Keep the clean sheet. Who do you got for this match?
Well, I really hope that USMNT takes it home. I think this is going to be the first big challenge throughout the entire tournament. Uruguay has definitely had more interesting or more challenging opposition on the first few rounds, even on the best of 16 round. It's going to be a great challenge for them. I see it. I see the USMNT taking it like maybe by the minimum difference, so 1-0, 2-1, something like that.
All right, we'll definitely be sitting down and enjoying that match on Sunday, maybe with a nice cold brew. Adrian, as we wrap it up here, man, where can our listeners find us, bro?
They can always find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. They can also find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever they get their podcasts on. Last but not least, they can also find us on Instagram and Twitter at Puro Pinche Gol. We post stuff every now and then.
Yep, make sure to follow us on your preferred social media platform of choice, and make sure to leave a comment down below, man. What are your predictions for the USMNT's U20 World Cup against Uruguay? How far do you see them going through at this tournament? And give us your reactions to the BJ Callaghan's first roster drop. Any notable omissions that we missed out on talking about? Any notable inclusions that you guys are shocked to see? Definitely like interacting with you guys there in the comments. So let us know below. Adrian, man, another good episode here with you, and we have a busy next 2 weeks before the
Yeah.
15th. So make sure you
Mhm.
follow us because we're going to be making sure to cover that all news and both national teams, Mexico and USA, extensively before that all important match in the Nations League. So been a pleasure, man. I'll see you in the next one, brother.
As always, take it easy.
See you, man.